Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fancy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke.
I'm Ben Glauber.
Let's get into it. We got lots to roll through here after another exciting news week for the news cycle here.
Yeah, a lot of good rugby this weekend. A lot of bad rugby.
Yeah,
a lot of give me a fucking beer.
Yep, I'd have a beer. Download, rate, review us. Check us out on your favorite podcast apps. Send us feedback at the email address. It's in the show notes, so you can always feel free to just hit that up. We respond, promise. I'm not one of those weird ones that's going to send you an automatic voice email reply. We don't have that ability.
No, we don't. We will reply.
No. Although I guess we technically have the ability, but we're not willing to put in that type of work.
No, we're putting work other ways.
Yeah, way better. Buy our friend George, the Fantasy Rugby Geek, a coffee. Make sure that you get that. If you are anywhere near the top of your table, one of the reasons you're there is likely because of his tips. So get yourself onto that real quick. Yeah. And also grab your TRM upgrades because one starts, sits, and all that good stuff, and who's on by. Very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Very helpful.
You're supporting the Restart Rugby, which while not perfect, is certainly more than has been done in the past for player welfare and such.
Right.
Especially with
these things need to get their legs under them, right? They'll do the best they can for a little bit. They'll take care of what they can, and then as it grows, they'll get better and they'll do more. So
right,
it's great that they're starting it. Let's keep it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and big ups to the rugby community for recognizing mental health awareness this past weekend. Lots of people wearing loose head stuff, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
I was really a big fan of that. And one of the ones that made me smile the most was Rachel Burford. I was like, oh yes, get her on board for sure. So
yeah, I kind of, it's one of those that's expected in a way, but not expected. Like you can't really expect them, but it's like, oh, cool. Rachel's wearing it. Of course she is. Like I shouldn't have questioned.
It's a dumb moment. We're like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Why am I not surprised? All right. And as always, Black Lives Matter. There is no room for racism on this podcast or ever, no matter what. And brings us to events on this side of the pond. Shocker of the day. Because that never happened. We never come on this side of the pond for this, do we ever?
This is, no, really. And here's the fucked up thing about the real, if you really want to know how fucked up the situation is here in the US, this John Gruden thing should be a massive, massive story. It should be huge that, what he was doing, how they were saying how wrong it was, and all this stuff. When he was, and they're trying to frame it as when he was a coach. Of course, this is all happening when he was at ESPN, or at least these emails.
Even better.
Or when he was at ESPN, and it's and there's other emails that the NFL isn't releasing. It's and it's not Gruden. It's everybody.
Yeah.
But that's how fucked up it is that it's not it's it was a story for a couple hours I'm talking about outside of sports news, on the major news outlets. It's yeah, this happened. He was racist. He did a racy bad, and no, he had to go. And it's no, he did. He was
he is, and will probably never won't be.
Yeah, it's he was misogynist. He's the typical, exactly what you thought that fucking hardo asshole football coach would be. Everything you think they would be, and you know why you think they're that? Because they are.
90% of them are.
There's he cultivated a whole thing about being an asshole, being Chucky. He patterns himself after a serial killer doll.
Yeah,
he's an asshole, and no shit, he's an asshole. And most I could probably name 5 coaches, and I'm being I don't follow football nearly as much as I used to, American football. But I know off the top of my head, I could probably name off the top of my head 3 coaches who were not like that in the league. And there may be a handful more.
Yeah.
And it's the guys you would Tomlin seems like a stand-up kind of guy. He seems like a guy who kind of has no time for any shit like that. Stupidity. It's not worth his time.
No.
Pete Carroll, the same thing. He might I was thinking about that. Pete Carroll, there was national outrage around that. because his players were getting money. Same kind of thing with the Saracens, right? Like,
right.
he was too good to his players. And you think about that in terms of then a guy like John Gruden, who, while in charge of an entire organization's football, or like, the players, the staff, all that stuff, he's anti-gay, he's anti-woman, he hates black people. Like, how is this person in charge of people and responsible for their livelihoods?
Well, the Glazers aren't exactly everybody's favorite person either, who own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and
right.
of course, the Davises
Davis
who own the Raiders. So, really, two peas in a pod. Those two families are. So,
and of course, it's all around the Washington football team. Which, if you know anything about the Washington football team, if you don't know, first off, Google around their cheerleaders and what they were doing there, and probably still are. They are a fucking trash organization. So yeah, all these these three teams are gonna have shit like those kind of coaches.
Yep, it's pretty poor. It's pretty poor. And the thing about it is, and I think the ultimate, like, he really is a dick, is there's nobody coming to bat for him. Nobody. They're all just letting it go. There's nobody coming to his defense. So that tells you everything you need to know.
You gotta love that the Raiders put out a statement. I think it was the Raiders. Somebody put out a statement that was like, there was an anonymous black player on the team who was like, you had, I'm okay with it. And it's like, okay, first off, an anonymous, like, no, none of that happened. That was them trying to, that was probably Gruden putting, like, with one of his media buddies saying, like, hey, can you say that this was said?
Something like that.
Help me out.
Yeah. So, well, God willing, he'll never work in football ever again. So.
Oh, he can't. That somebody, was it? Yeah. Samuel Ocho, I think, or Emmanuel Ocho.
Yeah.
Was saying something along the lines of, if you look at what's on the back of our helmets, if you look at what's in the back of the end zone, it's all like, we stand up against racism. Like, we are against racism.
It's lip service.
It is lip service. He's like, but this is what, this was before Gruden got fired, but it's like, you got to do it. Like, he cannot coach another game.
Nope.
And really, like, if nothing else, it's lip service, but you gotta back it up when it's in the big, if you skip out on this, then nobody believes it at all.
Right. So, yeah, definitely nobody gonna.
And that's the bullshit. They're still covering up the, like, 90% of the other coaches who are exactly like that.
Yep, it's pretty shit.
Yep.
Pretty shit. Slightly more positive news. Our Patreon drops tomorrow. Isn't everybody just excited?
If you're listening to this, it's probably it's already active. So we may not have tweeted it out, but
yeah, if you want to,
I guess you got to get that in the show notes, huh?
But
I guess we'll put the Patreon in the show notes, so you'll have this.
Yes. And if you're not getting this till this tomorrow, you can probably check our Twitter feed. It's out there.
Yeah. But it's we're going to grow it as we go. It's something that obviously I've been working on some analytics. So it's going to be a lot of things, again, along the lines of, how do they score when they start? How are they doing lately? How are they doing against other players at their position? And how are players doing against
the opposition? Yeah.
Right. Against the opposition, is he better than what they normally give up, or does he get shut down by good defenses, things like that?
Right.
And then we'll have some team stats, their attack and defense numbers at each position. So,
right.
So go check it out. There's a free kind of preview right on the site. It'll with last year's player stats, so you can kind of see what you're getting yourselves into. There's a little bit more information in this year's, but yeah, it'll see what you might get without having to pay.
Yep, and then we
stats.
Of course, we have plans to make other things a little bit more involved this season. Is probably not going to be an example of it, but yeah, we definitely have some good plans going forward. So we're excited about it, and hopefully you guys are too. And we appreciate anybody that hits that button and subscribe. So
definitely, and our prices may be off. Just get the monthly, not the low ones. I'm trying to get the season pass. And I'm not sure how to make that happen. So there's an option that's like $25 a month. Please do that, but don't do that.
We aren't worth $25 a month. I can guarantee you that.
But please do it, but Yeah. Well, if we see that, we'll reach out to you and let you know you fucked up.
Yep. Yeah. Cancel and we'll subscribe you for free or something. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
No, we'll give you the $5 a month option.
Yeah, something like that.
We'll get you in the right thing. All right. Moving on to
the unfortunate, the more unfortunate things.
Oh shit, even more. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right. Exeter and RFU basically just kind of everybody's pushing blame around, and it sucks because it takes one fucking person to take the goddamn responsibility. But unfortunately, what this says to me is there's no decent people involved in this whole thing right now, and that really is just so disheartening and so disappointing.
It's like the Gruden thing too, in a way, because nobody wants that. Things like this are perpetuated and then made worse because they're accepted when nobody stands up. And I like that. I do appreciate and appreciate what Wasps did, but now it's time for them to pull the trigger, because they were saying like, we're not sure. We want to see if there's a league wide and RFU wide response to this, and then the league and the RFU were like,
to do anything. Are you shitting me?
We're like, yeah, we're not going to step in. It's not right.
But not doing shit.
Yeah. And the Prem kind of said the same thing. So it's like, okay, somebody's got to step up and ban it.
Yeah. And, obviously, and the joke of a PR stunt they did this past weekend, which was hilarious, with as many players as they have that don't believe the pandemic was actually a thing, and that COVID isn't going to hurt you, and the vaccine isn't worth it. It's like, okay, so how many of these QAnon fuckers do you have in your club? Because I got questions.
So I want to move on to the other thing. Because this to me is a valid question, and I don't know the answer. I really please, because I am an American, so I'm ignorant of a lot of world culture. So, and I try to fix that, but this is one that has made its way through, I guess, the gap. The Saracens fez.
Yes.
I don't understand how that's exactly problematic. Doctor Who wore a fez. I mean, not that that's. I
don't have the answer. I mean, here's the thing: they've slowly backed away from that cultural type of branding. Right. The mascot's still a camel, which is probably the biggest problem right now. But like, they stopped using the camel on social media, which was the smartest thing they probably did so far. They went to the black and red dots instead, which probably makes a lot more sense. That's still the mascot, and they still have like a plush camel in their in their thing. Honestly, it looks like they're going to start moving more towards like the wolf, because everybody obviously knows that about the wolf pack defense. Right. So I think they're going to start to move towards that, and if they don't move fast enough, then everybody's going to take notice. I promise you that.
Yeah. I just don't understand why it's yes, it's something that's from another culture, but I think that I'm not sure how racist that is, more than it's just like, I don't know. I realize that there's all sorts of pejoratives using the word camel about people from the Mideast region and all that. I don't like, I see the again, I don't know exactly who wears fezes. I think of Turkey more so than just a religion or anything like that. I don't see this having like bigoted overtones. So I could be wrong. But at the same time, if there's insensitivity around it that I'm not aware of, fine. I don't give a fuck. I don't have a connection to these things. Like, it doesn't matter in the long run.
No, it doesn't matter to me.
Yes, move on. Fine.
Keep the club and get away from the imaging. That's all it is. Right. That's really all it amounts to. Is come on, keep your club and move away from the imaging. It's not hard. Right. It's laundry. Like, you pay people to fucking do this shit for you. Like, let's go. Yeah. Did I miss that part? Like, you pay people to do this type of shit.
Right. There should never be no, we're not going to do that yet. It should just be, okay, fine, fuck it. It's not worth the fucking fight.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not. And especially if you're alienating any sort of base, doesn't matter how small or big. It's unhelpful in so many ways. And
all right, let's go on to the fun shit, because I've been staring at this line in the agenda for so long. We got to get to it.
The front rowers don't do that.
Yes, they fucking do.
Of course they do.
Of course
they do. Have you not been watching?
Because so people have been, maligning the front row and the dark arts for so long that they didn't realize that they're actually now breeding like rugby players who can do that.
Yes.
And fuck, I mean, what a display of handsmanship and try scoring noses for the line from the front row this weekend all around.
Yeah.
The best has to be Sarah Byrne.
Yeah. That was great.
Like 1A, 1B with her and Collier. But I'm sorry, the Byrne did so much more with that play.
It was a lot. Yeah, she did a lot more work.
The fucking the dummy chicken wing, and then the pass the other way, where everybody was like, "What the fuck is she? Oh, she's throwing it right to the player who's gonna score." Like, yeah, good fucking throw.
Yeah, it was a fantastic job.
Right.
And then
Will Collier.
Yeah, I mean that was fun. That was just plain old fun. That's all that was. And to watch it.
Oh
yeah,
and if they were so happy for, like, I mean, yeah, obviously they all knew, were very, very aware of what was happening there.
Completely.
Joe Marchant, as soon as the whole that defense bought the dummy, he was not even looking to support as a potential carrying option. He was just cheering him down the field.
Go.
Propelling him with sound down the field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliance in what it is.
And then a couple hooker tries. We had Gabrielle Ogre with that pick off the maul. That was the one that set up Kirugi's try.
Yep. That's great.
Just gorgeous.
And and he almost got away with another one for Fifita too. So that was really nice.
So just and we're missing some too, but those were the big three.
Right.
I mean, Genge had a fucking stormer, so
of course he did. What else is new?
But that's like, and Kyle Sinkler. Because he and we'll get to it in Bristol, but like so many Bristol players disappeared that it made it hard to like pick out good performances. But Sinkler's just casual, like, hands, like, kind of like Don Brandt had on the was it the green try, where he just kind of tipped it through. You don't expect that from an 8.
Sinkler's doing that as Lina, but yeah.
Sinkler, it was Lina. Sinkler's doing that as a 3,
right?
Like, and just dishing.
Very different.
Love seeing the front rows, just doing awesome things, because I always enjoy doing things that nobody expected from a position. Yeah.
Yep. But I can also tell you that Ben's not as happy as what Collier was.
No. I acted like I was there. I've been there before. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Collier has been for a while. So
I would do the smile on the break, like when he threw that dummy and everybody bit and he had that huge gap, and just the smile, his face just boom. I would do that. That was always fun. But then it was like, all right, down to business. I gotta sort out how we're scoring this try now.
Absolutely. So we're getting some international teams released, although I think some of these are going to change as the weeks go on.
Certainly hope so.
But so Wales have released their international squad. The big name that's on there that a lot of people are, raving about, there's a couple, but one of them is Gareth Anscombe making his return, which is, long overdue. And you hope he can make the best of it, because, it's been a long road back for that man to get back here.
I really hope so.
Yeah, and he is a fantastic player. So it's just really sad to see him where he's at, and it's not like they haven't had anybody to replace him, but they have 1, 2, 3. They have 4 10s on their roster.
They do.
Anscombe, Priestland, Bigger, and
Sheedy. Yeah.
You might be sliding some of them to 15 or 12
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be guessing that one. And then
Christ Chinza.
Yeah, that's another one. Out of nowhere.
Coming east from Exeter.
That's about as close as you get to that.
That's a huge get, and he's 19. Has had an amazing. It's one of those, like, may you live in interesting times is a pretty nasty curse. Chun's has had an interesting life.
Yes.
and to be, where he is now, this is awesome for him and good for Wales because he's in their system now and he'll have every opportunity, I'm sure, to have a nice long career with Wales, and they'll treat him well.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Hopefully better than they treat their women.
Was it I can't remember, somebody said that there's God and Christ in the same second row in Wales because Ellen Wynn and
God. Okay. Oh man. Okay. All right. Fair enough. And also Scotland have released theirs, although theirs is definitely going to be more of a tentative squad because I think we'll see some changes when they hit the official international window when they can have their English and French-based players released. But there's some interesting things in here. Obviously, we have Staines only got one cap, so that's a little interesting to me. Yeah, it's a matter of who's going to play 10. Like, they're going to have freaking James Lang play 10. Like, what is going to go on with that one? So I'm lost on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So
yeah, so it's only. I think it's only for one match, thankfully.
Yeah.
Who knows? Give Kinghorn a run.
I was thinking Kinghorn. That's that out of all those players, I think I'd have to go with him at 10.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think McNally will be back around, which is nice to see. He's been a little in and out of the squad, unfortunately, and he probably is their best hooker, but he's also a converted back row, so he might be a little undersized for some people's liking, but I'm not really worried about that myself.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah. So it's mostly Glasgow and Edinburgh, but we have a Cell C Shark on the squad, which is interesting. I don't know where the hell you pull that one out of, but I guess he's got a Scottish grandparent or something like that.
Yeah, it's a grandmother, I think. I saw something on the Twitters.
Okay, there you go.
That's how it was.
So there we are.
I also heard that it was a good get because it's someone who wasn't going to, probably could have gotten a Springboks look, but probably wasn't going to get it. So
wasn't going to get more than a cap or two.
Yeah. So one of these like good moves for both the player and Scotland.
Yeah, and if I seem distracted, that the US is playing right now for World Cup qualifying. But speaking of World Cup qualifying, big old raspberry on that one.
I can't. I thought we were past this.
Same.
I really did.
Same.
I thought we were at the point where it was like, you know what, we'll qualify. We're still the best team, the best non Argentina Western Hemisphere team. Should be hands down not a problem. And they lost a shitty match to Canada. Like, they played 4 matches now against Canada and Uruguay. They're 2-2, but it's not the 2 wins were not. They played in that time, maybe, what is it? 4 matches that they played a match and a half of good rugby. And it was the
first half of Uruguay and all the second Canada game.
Right.
Yep.
And then this fucking it's just fucking gross.
Yeah.
It's an embarrassment. They look amateurish, and they're not. So I'm super disappointed. I know Gary Gold's disappointed, but
he's extremely disappointed. He knows, and just referencing the U.S. match itself, like that, they didn't even get off the plane. I really couldn't tell you they did. Maybe for 5 minutes it looked like they did. About it.
Yeah,
and that's really disappointing.
Yeah, it's just not. They got to be better than that, and they've got enough good players there. Like, I was angry because they eventually did bring on Greg Peterson, and
I thought he should have started.
And I was like, fine, get a good, like, let's get a real rugby player there. And I think you were like, easy there, because I was like, I'm not insulting who they took out.
Yeah,
it's the fact that like Peterson always fucking shows up.
Yeah,
and
the last 4 years, I'd say Peterson's really shown up every time his number's been called. So,
and I gotta be honest, Savetta only looks good when he's playing next to Peterson.
Probably true.
He's not good on his own.
No,
he's not good enough. He can't be. Yeah, he can't slot in and elevate his game. No. So
agreed.
It just wasn't enough effort out of the boys.
No, and I'm so over Will McGee at 10. Like, at this point, it's anybody but Will McGee. Like, I'm sorry, he might be an okay or quality MLR 10, but at that point, like that's where it stops, honestly.
Yeah.
Hardy was his okay is probably his best at this level, honestly, and that's terrifying. So Luke Hardy should have been the 10 from the start. Honestly, he probably should have been the 10 in the last game, but holy shit, it's really sad. And then, couple that with the real sadness of, for the first time since the inception of the World Cup, we will not have Canada at the World Cup.
Yeah.
As mad as we are, we at least still have a shot. We have to take out Chile and make sure that what they did to Canada, they don't do to us.
Right.
But wow.
It's like, I feel bad for Canada. Canadian rugby fans, not so much the team. Like they just have,
the organization can pound sand.
Oh yeah. They just, I saw something like, basically like saying that Canada was on the upswing until they installed this new coach, and ever since then it's been going nothing. They were like, I think showing the regression that the team was undergoing, and it's like, what? That's not just funding. That's not just that's you have the wrong people in charge of that.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Because you've already built it up. It's there. Now it's regressing. I thought they had a more solid foothold than the US did.
So you thought. Fooled you.
Right.
Oh yeah, very disappointing.
Like, the US
can I apply for the job?
Yeah, I know.
I'll do it.
Like, the US is in quicksand, but Canada is like just free fall.
They're already buried up to the necks at this point. It's pretty sad.
No good.
Nope, not at all. So US will take on Chile, I think, next spring. And maybe we can not suck it up.
So fucking embarrassing.
It is sad. Like, we should be able to say, all right, we don't have AJ, we have another plan, and we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was really embarrassing. Like, I thought we were over this whole thing where, all right, we have one player that we lean on entirely, and we didn't. It's really sad.
Yeah,
really, really sad. Like, yeah, nope, I'm over it, and I'm really annoyed, and I hope the entire U.S. rugby organization is.
Hopefully AJ will be back for that, and we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, we saw the difference he makes, but like, hopefully Gary kind of comes to his senses and says, "Oh, Will McGee kind of sucks. Let's put Cardi in." Yeah. Like after the performance he put in at headquarters this past summer, how did you pass on him?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still baffled as to that. Like, the dude played amazingly, and Will McGee was on that squad, if I'm not mistaken. So he saw more in Luke Carty to put him up against one of the best teams in the world, but then decided, nah, I'm gonna put Will McGee at 10 when it comes down to the chips being on the table. I'm lost, Gary. I'm lost, man. I am a huge fan of you, but I am lost on that one, dude.
Yeah,
like, fucking explain to me, please.
Stop talking to Eddie.
Yeah, no shit, right? He doesn't know anything about tens. Don't listen to him. Oh shit. All right. Speaking of tens, let's go to the stoop and the triumphant return of Marcus Smith. Oh my lord. Are you not entertained? Like, oh my god, it was such a great match for him. And unexpectedly, as much as playing time he wasn't supposed to get.
I know. I want to put this in perspective, because let's be fair first. Tomasa Allen was not playing a bad game of 10. He was doing, like, they had their opportunities. There was the forward pass to Dombrandt that took a try off the board earlier in the match. Like, it's not as though they weren't scoring or threatening with Tommaso.
No, not at all.
But then
he's just special.
Look at the fucking timeline. Okay, because I wrote this down. Do you mind if I go through this?
Go for it.
All right. Tommaso goes off at 25 minutes, right? It's 21-5 Bears at the time. I'm sorry, it might be 21-0. It was 21-0 at the time. Because Linus scores 2 minutes later is Linus' first try.
Okay.
And then Sheedy pushes the lead to end the half. So, like, there's 13 minutes. They threatened, I think, again. There may have been another disallowed try or something close to it before the half. I can't remember exactly what it was. 47 minutes, Linus try. 50 minutes, Esterhazen. 55. Oh, then there's yellow. Yeah. After that, 55
Yeah.
Northmore scores, 56 Collier comes on, 57 Collier goes over, 62 Esterhazen, 71 Smith, Scott Steele almost, does it. He
That's
has one that's
true. He
disallowed,
came close.
and Don Brandt to finish. Like that's just tries like that. Fuck. And I realized that's not just down to Marcus Smith. And again, Tommaso played well too.
Right. But
fuck, Marcus Smith made. I mean, who else is making that kick to yourself play? Who's doing that? It doesn't happen. Yeah, and that's really not being fair to Don Brandt because he was ridiculous.
No, I mean, he's living in another world. I swear to God.
Okay, so here's my thing, and they talked about Eddie wanting their 8 to punch holes.
Get ball over the gain line. That was what he said.
Rugby's not that. That's what your locks do now. Like everybody's more athletic than they used to be. That's the way this game is going. So your 8, like, first off, Don Brandt can do that if you want, but why would you waste him there when you could have a lock do that and then have a Don Brandt out on the wing with the tip passes and his ability to finish too? Like, and he can be a jumper in the line out. Like, what the fuck can't he do?
Yeah, so he's a tough guy to really find a problem with at this moment. So,
like, and put it this way, who out there has a skill set that can match him? I
limited number of people
Simmons can do what he can do, but even Sam Simmons can't do what Don Brandt doesn't do what Don Brandt was doing.
No, it was that was one of those days where you're just like, I hope everybody's watching because this is the guy that needs to be playing for England, hands down, without question. Like anybody that says different is not watching the right game, honestly. Right.
And to me, there's so many matches where you lose because because you're like, oh man, if we just had a guy who could do this in this position, in a keep position, if we had a guy who instead of being because I'm the guy who crashes it, it's late match, you're down, need to try, and you have one of those 8s who's only a hole puncher.
Right.
You need him to be a distributor because he's in the line and you have an overlap on the outside and he's like, fuck it, I'm going in. And how many times does that lose a match for you?
A lot. Yeah. No, you gotta be able to give that last pass.
Having the, somebody who can do more than, some like that to me is the rugby player. How many tools you have? There's like a thing in baseball, 5-tool player.
Yep.
And that's huge. Even if you take someone who, you want a hitter, a slugger or something like that. But no, you have this guy who might hit like 5 fewer home runs, but he can field and do all this other stuff. I'll take that guy.
Right. Yep.
And run the bases and shit like that. Yeah, I'll take that guy.
Correct.
That's what you want from a rugby player is, and it's the guy who can do it all. And that's Alex Don Brandt right now.
Right. And I mean, Marcus Smith would contend that he could probably do most of it too.
He just can't do the physical shit that Don Brandt can do.
But he's got a lot, man. I mean, that chip and chase, man, good, fantastic vision to just realize I am in a hole, but look at all the space back there. As long as I can get this kick through, I'm probably going to score. And he did. I was like, oh boy, naughty boy.
He's filthy.
Yeah, absolutely, just blinder and off the bench. Loved every second of it. It was such a fun match to watch.
On the other side, Bristol started out really well and then just
Pat Lam's got some problems.
They just went into kind of a shell. I feel like
right.
Bristol are, if they feel the current, they'll go with the current. Right, they're kind of adrift. If the current's taking them to a loss, they'll be like, okay, I guess we're going this way. And they never really punt. Like they had opportunities to punch back and just they were meek.
Not quite. Yeah. Lots to solve over there, Bristol. Lots to solve. Let's go over to the first Premiership match at the StoneX. It's funny because TRM still has it listed as Allianz. Nice try. Slow start for the home squad. Very strong start for the visitors.
Very
lots to be happy about if I were them. Mike Brown gets over in his first game. Looks really good on top of it all. So
and Stevenson had a bolter of a try himself.
It was a great try.
That's that man.
I turned this game on and put the US game on my laptop because I was just so fucking annoyed. Like I was like, all right, I haven't watched this because I was playing club. I was playing club and like, or watching club, whatever it was. And I was like, I need to, this is pissing me off. So I'm going to put on something that is going to entertain me at least, because this is not entertaining me right now. Although we haven't said yet, full credit to Uruguay for what they did, you know. So absolutely. Just to get backtrack to that, I digress. Yes. It was, it was a slow start, but the series eventually turned into what they remembered how they're supposed to play, you know?
Yeah, they did. It took them. It's taken a little bit. They're kind of going to be sluggish. And they had the card early, so
and they survived the Maitland card fairly well. I don't think it was amazing, but no. You know, they managed to shut down, hold on for as long as I could.
And that was that. I think that I felt like that was the game. They shut it. They clearly were willing to get beat on either the other side or the inside with that, but they were not willing to let Radwan be their demise. Yeah,
they were making him work on those kicks, really, and that's a lot of work,
right? Which is how you, and that's how you beat that kind of team. Is you say, okay, we're going to take your best weapon and neutralize them, as best we can, and see what you got elsewise. And we're like, okay, well, we've got Mike Brown, great. Hey, fuck, that's good. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
But then, as you said, Sarri's just kind of, we're like, oh yeah, we'll wake up, let's take care of it, you know. And they did a good job.
Eventually pulled their heads from betwixt their teats. You know, the front rowers woke up, that's for sure. Especially Mako and Jinx. They were angry men. They were very angry men.
Jinx should have had two. I think only had the one. But they got the penalty try, but still. Yeah,
close. It was close.
Right. I like seeing Mako and Jamie, and I'm still up and
somebody
down
can take Billy anytime today, and I wouldn't be sad about it.
Right.
We got enough back rowers that are coming through that we can replace them.
I think Swinson needs a break. I think he needs to be a once every 3 matches kind of player.
Something to that effect. Yeah.
I realized that he was there. Everybody fucking loved him last year, and that makes sense, and that's fine. That's a championship. This isn't his. He can't do this long term. You can't be, And I know Maro's coming back, and then the rotation will. But you can't.
I'd wager we'll see him this week.
I got to see Ezekiel at lock too. With once Ray can come back, so they need.
I think it was just a matter of rotation there with Ray getting a break, and Sean Raffel and Andy Christie are good to come off the bench as well. So it's not a big
absolutely. Deal. I'm just Swinson needs to go back to the rotation. He was dragging him down a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, and then we saw Max Malins. Oh man, like the year away, and him and Bennerall too. Like the year away just did him so much good to continue to play at that high level and to play the expansive rugby that Bristol likes to play. And now they see so much better, and it's so great to have him on the team right now.
But I think that is also an understated contribution to Bristol's problems. They don't have Sione or Radradra right now. I mean, they won't have Sione at all, but they'll have Radradra later.
Yep.
But Malins and Earl did so much for them.
Certainly contributed.
Yeah. It's hard to replace that. It's because they were good support players, and they also were star players. And I think there's a couple players on Bristol now who are kind of looking around to be like, oh, can I? Like, how do I do that? Like, wait, where's that guy now? And I don't think they've sorted that one out.
Yeah, and likely they were counting on Nalago too, and he's not available right now. So yeah, things to solve there.
Happy to see Malins and Ben back in black. Although, okay, that did fuck me up though.
The kick colors.
Yeah, I was like, when they're like conning to kick off, and I'm like, that player's in red. And Newcastle being black, right?
No,
it would make sense that the Saracens would be in the red and the Newcastle would be in the black. It totally fucked me up at first that it was the opposite.
Yeah, totally screw you up a little bit with the visuals there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
For the people who don't know, especially if you're overseas, we don't get the game. The game doesn't broadcast until like 5 seconds before kickoff.
Mhm.
So we don't get any of like the lead in. It's just like,
Oh,
here's the whistle.
there's lots of annoyance with me on that one, but that's a different
Yeah.
story for a different day. Didn't we
Right.
have one was it this week or last week? It was one that started like 2 minutes in. I was like,
One of the sale matches.
fucking, it was so annoying. Fucking Peacock. Somebody take it away
Yeah.
from them, please. Anyway, let's go over to Brentford. Irish and Tigers. You know, there's a lot that, and I hope it's being stayed over on the other side of the pond here, where in the homeland here, but it seems as if the armband for one Ellis Genge has just made him come up a whole nother level. And that should be terrifying, number one, for the Premiership. And number two, it should be terrifying for people that are playing at an international level against him right now. Because now, now, there's a headache at Loosehead in England. There's a headache. And anybody that says otherwise is fucking lost, because there is. Like if he, honestly, right now, on form, he gets the Loosehead shirt for me.
Absolutely.
You know,
I can't. Who else? How can no? Who else? I mean, you have to realize you're talking to, or you're listening to, two massive Mako Vunipola fans.
Absolutely.
We might not be the biggest fan of Billy. We love Mako.
Yeah, totally. No doubt.
But Mako too is not what he's not what he was 5 years ago, or 4 years ago.
Still a fantastic Loosehead, no doubt.
Right, no doubt. But Genge is just another. And also, you got to think, Genge, you play Genge for like 60 minutes, and yeah, he could play. He's another one. Mako's
he could play
80.
70. He could play 70 if he wanted to.
But like, you have Genge, and you say, just burn yourself out in 60 or 50 or 60, and then you bring in Mako on the back end of that,
and he blows his tank all the way to the end.
Yeah, that's that. What? There's nothing more to think about. Like,
nope. End of story, right there.
And okay, I want to, while we're on the subject of Leicester front rows, Nick Dolly. We've been talking. That's not just the tries, because when we saw with Tom Dunn last year, you get on the right team, and you with a good maul, and you're scoring tries from the hooker position. It's great. But Nick Dolly is excellent in the line out.
Yes. I don't think
his throws. We've been talking about the the bad lineouts lately, and how bad the hookers
there's
are.
some bad ones, yeah.
And Jinx is having his troubles right now.
Oh yes, his throw. I don't know what's going on with his throws right now, but man, it's a struggle.
Nick Dolly was just fucking on point. Just very very good, and yeah. Him and Montoya. That's not fair.
That's really rough right there. It's really rough right there. Yeah, he didn't lose a single lineout last weekend, Nick Dolly.
Right.
So that's good. That's good. And he does have some great targets as well, with Liebenberg and Wells and Green in the middle there, and even Rafael and Martin when they contribute as well. So that does help. But all that said, we've seen some really good jumping crews suffer because their thrower couldn't get it to them. So Nick Dolly's getting the job done, and there's no
lifting is fucking easy. So
yeah, I could get the lift.
Getting a guy getting that jumper to where he needs. Right. That's not, that's easy. The throw, getting the throw there accurate, the right angle, so that the defense can't strike it away. Like,
correct.
There's so much to that throw that really makes the play. That a lot of these hookers aren't doing, and Nick Dolly is doing it very well. So,
right. And it felt like Leicester could have cruised home with this more or less. And maybe I'm sure any Leicester fan would tell you that they didn't, because their heart was in the throat half the match. But it didn't ever feel like it was threatened.
But that to me is okay. So I do want to say that I get the reason to keep the kicking for the posts with
Voldemort.
With Ford.
Ford, other one.
Yeah, but like, you have such a great, like, if we're just saying we have such a great line out, go for the fucking jugular. This should never have been a contest for Leicester. It was one of those, the same kind of like the Eddie Jones style of, we're gonna use take the points when they're on offer, and hope we can just shut down, choke out the other team and end the game.
Right.
Win the game. Like this was only a game because Leicester kept it close.
True.
I
don't disagree.
Had plenty of opportunities for points that they just decided to pass up and just take the 3.
Yeah, and also, do you not want your bonus point tries? Like last I checked,
Right.
those are valuable in the standings. So
yeah, and I realized that they have a relatively young coaching staff that's not really experienced in the ways of what you have to do to stay top of the table, but they got to sort that out quick.
Yeah, I agree. But they remain top of the table just the same because they've been able to keep the victories going. And we'll see what comes up in the future here. They still got some tough matches coming forward here. Let's jaunt over to King's Home. And this was an entertaining match when it shouldn't have been. And I'm sure George Skivington will tell you that right off the bat. But let's give the 10s that played for sale credit. And they got thrown right into the fire. Tom Curtis and Karen Wilkinson didn't do anything special, but at the same time, I'm not convinced that they lost the match for this team. So that said,
yeah. I mean, you can't. No, they're not good enough or experienced enough to be in a position where you can blame them for a loss. They're in a position where the rest of the team has to pick them up. It's not the other way around. It's not that they have to play out of their minds. They just have to do their job. The rest of the team has to pick up for them and guide them as much as they can. Help them help you.
Yeah, help me help you.
Right.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of the Gloucester of old
at the end. Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I mean, a little bit there, but
he's given up 3 tries in the last 10. Yeah, that's
right. And things that we're not used to seeing is the Gloucester line out and all that stuff. But at the same time, the entertaining stuff that we expect with the likes of one Lewis Reese Zammit. So
yes. No, that Leicester. Okay, sorry, I was going
that Gloucester
older than. Okay, got it. Yeah, a couple years ago. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to maybe get someone other than Johnny May on the other side, and you got something going. No, but I think there's a lot to like about Gloucester right now. They are back to that can strike from kind of anywhere, and they'll attack. And it's clicking. That's really what the problem's been. It just hasn't.
And Hastings has definitely been a big contributor to that. We can't ignore that.
He has.
So and then on the other side, the contributors that they've been
Adam Hastings.
Right. Yeah. So Scotland, pick up the phone. On the other side of the coin, Rafi Quirk, guys, first try. Awesome. And they were this is a team that's clearly missing 2 Duprias at least, because talk about guys that contributed right away, especially returned from South Africa with a point to prove, more or less, I'd say. And both of them, I'd say, proved it, especially Dan.
Yes, very Dan.
He's kind of good.
He made his impact. He's all right.
Yeah, he's kind of good. And they had a chance to win this.
They did.
And that's credit to Sanderson's crew and the fight that they had.
It was. It is. I mean, he scored. Yeah. I thought that
74th minute they score. Dan Dupria scores a try, and you think, all right, they're going to make this close. Then Gus Ward gets one along with Ruan Ackerman getting the card.
Yellow, yeah.
And then Tommy Taylor gets over after the line out.
Yeah. I think this was the only 10 minutes of the match I saw. So
it might have been the only 10 minutes worth watching. You never know.
Right. So but shit, I didn't think they were going to make it that last one because they missed the Gus War conversion, and that was an easier kick than the
I knew they were going to be in trouble when it was put down in the corner. I was like,
but it's still
this will be a bitch of a kick.
It was. I did have some vicarious fun watching Gloucester fans kind of poop themselves a little.
Oh yeah, they were definitely like squeeze and hold,
and then they missed, and they were kind of like, all right, are we allowed to win this? Did we actually win? Did we win this?
Okay.
All right, fine. It was it's one of those, the relief rather than the celebration.
Right.
It's fun when it's not you.
Lucky boys. Lucky boys. Going over to Devon, other than the stuff about the club itself, anything to add? Because this was just not good from Worcester.
Same old
That's
Worcester.
unfortunate. Exeter didn't even make 100 tackles, like as a team. Like that's bad. Pretty terrifying.
And Kvesic. How mad? Because Matt Kvesic played a good match. I mean, and by good, I mean he played a fucking cracker of a match. And none of the fucking Worcester guys picked him up. He's stealing ball, making line breaks, looking for an offload, and guys are like, "Oh, I thought you had that." Like, no, fuck you.
No, I need you to finish for it, dipshit.
Right. He's got a 7 on his back. You have a number in the 10s. Fucking run and catch up.
Go help.
Like he's not that fast either, and he's outstripping the Exeter defenders coming back on him. So you can outstrip them.
Yep.
Like, go help him. Fuck. I was so mad at Worcester.
Absolutely, with every right. 2 guys I want to throw out there, Simmons and Facundo. It's not news, but yes, they were good. So
they're fucking excellent. Yeah.
Yep. So not really a new thing. And Skinner was running like he had a point to prove when he came on too. So
as he does, cool. He has been really good the last couple of years. Just fantastic. I always want to see more of him whenever I see him play.
Same. All right, let's go over to the CBS for the Sunday game, and then we'll wrap this up. Definitely disappointing for Northampton's sake. Augur was probably lucky to avoid a red. CMK was feeling, he did get sanctioned, so he'll miss 3 weeks. CMK was feeling a little generous that day. Like I said to you, I think if he was in more of a pissy mood, I think you would have definitely seen red.
Yeah,
whatever happened that day, CMK was feeling good about it. So Augur got a little lucky. Let's be real about this.
Maybe got laid Saturday night.
Something to that effect, perhaps. Yeah. I mean, lots to like about both teams. Dan Robson's a man possessed, which is not news, just kind of an observation. If he doesn't play, not. You and I know a particular Brit, and I was talking to him on Saturday, and he's just like, if I fucking see Ben Youngs at 9 for England, I'm gonna scream. I was like, I feel you, man.
There's like 6 or 7 better scrum halves right now. Dan Robson is one of them.
In his opinion, he would like to see Dan Robson start and Harry Randall come off the bench.
I don't disagree at all with that opinion. I mean, there are other valid opinions, but that one is a good one right there.
That's also a good one. Yes, I agree.
You could do worse than that. You could do a lot worse.
You could do a whole lot worse than that. And Via Fafita, talk about a man possessed. Like, just what a huge and you have to believe that Brad Shields had a piece to do with him coming over, because
absolutely,
he's been immense.
Yeah. Do you think this is kind of what we're going to see from Fafita here? I don't remember him being I don't remember having this kind of game in New Zealand, but I could be wrong.
I mean, he was always quality. It was never anybody that, like, every time I saw his name on the sheet as a Hurricane supporter, I would be like, yep, that he should be in there. He should definitely be in there. And if he wasn't, I was like, he better be on the fucking bench. And if he's not, I'm usually thinking he's hurt. So he was always one of the first names that went on the team sheet, whether he was wearing 4, 5, 6, or one of the substitute jerseys. He was usually on there, and I'm usually not mad about it. So and now
we're going to see a lot of them anyway. So
yes, and don't tell that for a second.
We'll talk about that because what happened. I'm talking about what happened at the end of the match, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. And Sam Matavesi, like, talk about a guy that's just taking a shirt and putting his name on the tag, as it were.
I don't know who else should have that 2 jersey for a while.
Who's taking the 2 jersey off him for a while for Northampton? I don't know. Nobody. I really don't. I don't see anybody else. Mikey Haywood might have been a name, but he's not been around consistently enough. So,
and Fish ain't ready. And Fish he's 25, but he's still not.
Just not quite there.
Not there.
Yeah. And it was, It was interesting to see, and I was wondering if we'd see this. Frank Lamonti coming on the wing, and certainly that is one of those, things that you can't necessarily measure, like being able to play two positions well. At that, he's a quality scrum half, but he's also a very good wing, and Rebels know that too. They used him quite a bit in both situations. So, I would expect to see a lot of that from Northampton with, maybe seeing three backs on the bench with two halfbacks and him playing the wing, or in this situation, they need somebody that can do both, and he can do both. So they named an extra forward to the bench. So
can we talk about the tactical error that Northampton made though? That lost them the game.
Scrum. Yep, I agree.
So Agre gets the yellow card. Now, bear in mind that he came in for an injured Tom Cruise, who was out. Like he had the HIA, failed the HIA.
Yeah, he can't pass.
He is no longer eligible. They have no backup hooker they have no other front row available. So call for a scrum, get uncontested, and lose another player.
They would lose another player. Yep.
So now you're 15 on 13, and you have an uncontested scrum right in their 5 meter line. Like that's a try. That's a try.
Yeah.
And instead they they ended up getting the try, but that was it. And then
but still, you could have played 10 minutes with 13 guys on the opposition.
Right. So it's more than just that, because then Gopperth kicked a penalty. So it was really only 5. Like that swing right there, that was it. That was game. The Northampton needed to do more with that yellow card situation, and that would have, the calling for a scrum would have done that, and just poor gamesmanship on Saints' part.
Agreed. No argument here. So Saints get a bye this coming week and get a chance to try and figure themselves out a little bit after starting pretty well in the league, to be said. But yeah, that one's going to sting for a little bit. So
yeah, I'm always one. If on a yellow card to a forward, especially a tight 5 forward, always call for a scrum.
Yeah.
Always.
You likely don't have a super viable option coming in.
Right. And then you're also taking someone else off. You're taking a faster person off the field. There's so many reasons to do it that way. And I wish more teams understood that.
Yep. I agree. I can tell you that I've seen that missed many times, even at high school and club level. So
yeah,
it is what it is. By the way, I don't want to be Worcester because that's who they play off their bye week.
It's not looking
just saying.
Not looking good for Worcester right now.
No, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Okay. So, fancy rugby podcast at gmail.com for any questions. We do appreciate you guys hanging out with us. This was a little longer than usual, but we had a lot to get through. So thank you for bearing with us. We still kept it under 60 minutes.
Yay.
Patreon, show notes, catch it there. If you want to hear a little bit more about it, then catch the next pod for the fancy corner. But other than that, if you're passing on that, we'll talk to you guys next week. And we appreciate you guys so much for listening, and have yourself a good one.
Later.
Peace.